Hey, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Davon, the apostles, the elders, great millstone. Peace and salutations to you, Akim out there, pushing the truth and sincerity. My fellow laborers, my fellow prisoners of the word, the brothers who are trying to get out of here on the first run. You know, Shalom to you. Honor to you, brothers. Real quick, I wanted to touch on an article that came out. I thought it was spiritual. What is that? Damn, I just had that. Fuck that. It's like it. It's like it. Just It's kind of a classic article they got. This is the April 2018 edition, and you got two twins, two fraternal twins. Says people are shocked to learn that they're fraternal twins. Marcia on the left looks more like their mother, who's English born. Millie looks just like their father, who's of Jamaican descent. So the father's a Benjamite. He got two daughters, one with the brown skin, she's an Israelite, one with that pale red skin. She looks like an Edomite. And it's just trying to put a spiritual eye on it, man. These Edomites they're really studying us. This is really bringing out the truth. It's really giving them a headache. It's making their sleep hard, man. It's making their relaxation difficult, because the truth could do that to you, man. The truth will have you fucked up like that. Where, in the back of your mind, you see this kind of stuff and you're like, man, what is the
My name is
spiritual...
Marcia and I'm 11 years old. My name is Millie and I'm 11 years old.
Oh, no, Shalaki. But you're like, man, what's the explanation to this? And they can't come up with an explanation. Shalaki, see, always be all, damn. Damn, Salaki, I'm gonna have to pause this. Satan. Okay, so I'm back good. Salaki, that's Satan. But yeah. Anyway, man, I'm gonna just speed through it because it's a good article. You of course can look it up. So from a young age, the girls had similar features but very different skin, different color schemes, right? And it's gonna show. The father, look at that. It's Jake. He's a so-called Benjamite. He's got one daughter, and this is parallel to Jacob and Esau. People are scoff and they'll talk about how much of a fable that is. No, that couldn't have. That's not real. Yaku and whatever. But look at that. This is real. This really happened, and this is a reflection of that. And National Geographic, is what I'm saying. They highlighted that because that's parallel to what we've been teaching about. The so-called Israelites, so-called Black, Native American, and Latino men. We go back to Israel, which is our forefather Jacob, and you so-called Edomites, you Caucasians, right? You Amalekites, you fake Jews, you people from the Khazarian Empire. You go back to Esau. Fraternal twins count for about 1 in 100 births, right? And that's parallel to Jacob and Esau. There's the mother. And then they say when they learn with twins, they're kind of shocked because one's black and one's white. Yeah. Yeah. So they say the twins, for their part, understand quite clearly what racism is. Yeah, because one of them, that you look at and assume she's a white woman, and then the other one you assume you understand that she's a so-called black woman, but really they both are Israelites, really. You know what I'm saying? She's not a Salakia. I have to make sure I keep it clear. The father is an Israelite. They're both Israelites. She has the appearance of an Edomite. That's what I meant to say, Salakia, for the confusion on that. They're both Israelites. She's not. But this is what happened with Isaac and his son Jacob and Israel. That's the point I was trying to hit. Because Isaac was not an Israelite. It wasn't until Jacob and his sons that the name Israelite became synonymous with the 12 tribes of Jacob. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the point I was trying to make, Salaki. So they're both Israelites. One of them has a dark skin. One of them has the appearance of an Edomite. Let's make sure I keep it clear on that. And you had these professors who are examining it because National Geographic issued an apology. That's why they're doing a magazine on race. These twin sisters make us rethink everything we know about race. It says that the editor-in-chief, Susan Goldberg, I sound like an Amalekite, has helped the magazine acknowledge the racist coverage that predominated a large chunk of its 130-year history. Mason, who teaches both African history and the history of photography, was well equipped for the task. His analysis features heavily in a much heralded letter that the race issue, examining the racial tension in the United States. Yeah. So these Edomites, and this is kind of the Black Panther effect. These Edomites have painted us to be savages, painted us to be less than vile people with small intellect or whatever. And they kind of dominated over us, but now their empire is crumbling and their pride is going out the window and it's going down. And the truth is coming out from the minute of the Lord. These people have been studying the Israelites, and now that truth is permeating into this, because this is the #1. National Geographic is the #1 magazine for imagery. This is where everybody reads National Geographic. Even kids like National Geographic. And what do kids like? They like the images, the fresh images. And those images have been made to show us in a negative light. And the scriptures say, Job 20:10, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore the goods. The whole chapter is good. I just chose to highlight this verse. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asp within him. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asp, the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter, which that represents paradise. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away a house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly, he shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. That's right. So basically, like it's saying, this man is seeing that his empire is being taken down, and he's going to seek to please the poor. And like I said, the whole chapter is pretty good. It's like I keep wiping my nose. The whole chapter is good, but that's basically what he's doing. They're trying to finally, because they have to. This has been an issue. It's still an issue, and it's still going to be an issue because you're dealing with spirits. You're dealing with two different spirits: the spirit of Esau and the spirit of Jacob. That's why we can't just all get along and hold hands. It's not gonna happen. Then it says, when we decided to devote our April magazine to the topic of race, we thought we should examine our own history before turning our reportorial gaze to others, Goldberg wrote in the letter. In this, National Geographic is not alone. The magazine's reckoning comes at a time when other media outlets, historic sites, and universities, including the University of Virginia, are taking a more critical look at racism in their own past. There are moments where institutions or cultures as a whole take stock, Mason said. I think that Susan is responding to the type of zeitgeist right now. That's an interesting phrase he used. Zeitgeist. What is a zeitgeist? Zeitgeist, the general intellectual, moral, and cultural climate of an era. And that cultural climate is from the scriptures. It says what? Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of the world that follows. And this is a whole new zeitgeist. The Spirit of the Lord has a whole new zeitgeist, just in the Roman Empire. The apostles and the different prophets and the teachers, they labored and they put in, they witnessed the Messiah being crucified, and they still labored until their own deaths. And then that Christian vibration, which the Christians were the Israelites who accepted their nationality, they began to they started taking down the empire, basically, because the cultural climate completely changed from that Edomite Roman pagan culture to back to our culture. And it changed so much that they had to have Constantine incorporate that and blend it in. And then that's where the Catholic Church took the reins. And then the apostle, which the apostle did a beautiful video on it. Let me see.
Empires do not begin or end on a certain date, but they do end, and the West has not yet come to terms with its fading supremacy.
41.
He found remarkable similarities between them all. An empire lasts about 250 years, or 10 generations, from the early pioneers to the final conspicuous consumers who become a burden on the state.
Conspicuous consumers.
6 ages defined the lifespan of an empire. The age of pioneers, the age of conquests, the age of commerce, the age of affluence, the age of intellect, ending with bread and circuses in the age of decadence.
That's right, in the age of decadence. The ages. So it listed the different ages, the different so-called zeit. That's what a zeitgeist is. It's a cultural climate. So the United States, they had the eras. They had the pioneers. They had the commerce. They had the conquest of the empire. Right? They had the intellect and the knowledge to go to create this nuclear warfare. Right? They had their wars against these other countries, and meanwhile, we were in chains, kind of watching. They had their pioneers, right?
Ending with bread and circuses.
And there were bread and circuses, right?
The age of decadence.
Age of decadence. That's what it is now. And then they forget the final age, though, or the final part of the age of decadence. That's where the Lord calls the prophets up, which that's where we're at now. The age where the so-called prophets, the age where the prophets come and they prophesy the destruction. And Esau knows that. That's what a zeitgeist is. Esau knows that, and these top-level Edomites, they can see that. They can see the decadence and the stuff that they're getting. Driving the Maseratis and all this other stuff, while you have the Israelites and the two-time loser Edomites basically at the bottom, which is why the middle class is being destroyed as well. And it's something else interesting. What is that? Then they mentioned something else. The magazine blocked African Americans and other people of color from subscribing until the 60s. Right, in the 60s, we know that's when our elders King Marshall, RER, all those men began to come on the scene, 69 and 1970, and during that whole civil rights movement, all of that stuff. And that's when they allowed you to start to read the publications. Other facts might know if you happen to own a copy of 1993 book, reading National Geographic. Until the 1970s, National Geographic all but ignored people of color living in the United States, but pictured natives elsewhere as exotic, famously and frequently unclothed as happy hunters, noble savages, and other cliches. Yeah, so damn, it's like Satan trying to fuck with my video. So like it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, but basically they combed through the archives to determine how poorly his editorial choices fared through the years in regard to reporting on people of color, which is a code word for Israelites, so-called people of color. But yeah, I mean, they got a little more information, and basically, yeah, it's just they're admitting how racist they've been with the images. They're finally admitting all the things that we've been complaining about for years. Right, and then in one study they're talking about, on average, whites have 10 times as much wealth as black people. The wealth gap has multiple causes, including institutional racism and lending and housing discrimination. Right, then it's going to go into some stuff that, you know, we already know about, the different racist and segregation policies that they've had, the white supremacy. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Their empire is starting to crumble. And it's like we said, the current zeitgeist is one of prophecy. Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. And the prophets are coming out and bringing out the truth from the head down. And if you're a black, Native American, and Latino man, you're commanded to come under the order of the prophets and you know, do the work of the Lord. Thus saith the scriptures. Whether it be a helper, whether it be a prophet, or you know, a teacher, or you can speak in another language. Whatever gift or ability you have, you're supposed to use that to push the ministry of the Lord. And I hope this was all edifying. It's just interesting, a change in pace for the images. Now they have to start bringing out the truth. Now we're about to start seeing the same information that the prophets have been pushing about us in the dark ages and all this other stuff. That stuff is about to come out. You got this movie, Paul, Apostle of Jesus. That's the name of the movie. That's coming out. So all of this stuff that we're bringing, the apostles and the prophets and the men of the Lord are bringing life to, he's starting to try to take that, because they want us to revitalize their empire, but it's not going to happen. You know, we can't revitalize something, especially when we're second-class citizens. But it's time for our empire to rise up, the empire of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, under the order of the Israelites, under Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And I hope this was edifying, just an interesting thing. All praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Divine Apostle Elders Great Millstone. Peace and salutations. I hope that was edifying to you. So, Shalom.